Are live.
Coaches. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, they can't hold a flame against you, ay. Blow the whistle, blow the whistle, ay. Blow the whistle, got the game, it ain't no issue, yeah. Blowing the whistle, I had enough with you, the championship, it is gone. Ain't listen to you, I can't give it to you, cause you don't know what I've been on. This is the Coaches Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Coaches Podcast. I am your host, as always, Coach Steve. We got the whole crew today, guys. Let's introduce them. Coach Jibbs, what's going on, brother?
Ain't much, man. Just another Thursday.
Ain't much. Another Thursday. Yeah, you excited for football tonight?
No, it's going to be rainy.
Absolutely not.
Any questionable players and questionable situations. But hey, hopefully
it is what
it'll be a good game.
Hopefully.
It's football. I'll take it.
We'll see. Of course. And of course, we have Coach John. What's going on, John?
Nothing much, man. Just another beautiful day talking football with my friends.
Must be nice.
Yes.
Florida must be going really nice. Oh, Florida must be nice right now, right? Or is it you part of another hurricane?
We're fighting a battle against another hurricane, but luckily this one's only a Category 1, so
that is great.
It's not that big of a deal.
Great. I'll be down in Florida in a couple weeks, so I can't wait. All right, guys. So we're talking starts and sits today, guys. Obviously, it's Thursday, so it's our Thursday night show. So let's get into the fantasy news, and then we'll get into everything else here. So. All right. So a couple things going on in the news. Obviously, if you're a Raiders fan, you must be hating life because you lost more of your offense for an extended period of time. Darren Waller and both Hunter Renfrow are out on IR at least for the next 4 weeks. So basically, they're not useful for your fantasy playoff run or whatever you're trying to do to make the playoffs. They're basically useless to you. So if you're not making the playoffs with these guys, you're probably not worrying about them. A couple of more important things. I didn't bring this up on Monday show, but Josh Allen obviously had a little bit of an injury ding I didn't mention on Mondays. And now obviously he has something to do with his elbow. I forget the name of the actual injury. I should know this offhand, but I don't. It's like a UCL injury. UCL. Yeah. Okay. I thought so. Injury that could keep him out this week. Obviously he has not practiced all week, or he definitely didn't practice yesterday or today, but neither did Matthew Stafford, who has apparently concussion injury out of nowhere as of yesterday. Are you guys downgrading this offense here if both players were to miss?
Yeah, I think you got to. I think you have to. Anytime you lose starters, you have to downgrade the offense. So I'm not looking forward to it.
Jibbs?
Yeah, I'm downgrading. At least with like Case Keenum, he has a rapport with Diggs, so like you have some faith there. So like I'm not like taking Diggs out the lineup. I'm not taking Cup out the lineup. Anyone else, it's you're pretty much asking for like a mystery bag.
Of course, yeah, it's definitely not the best news, obviously, to hear overall. Obviously, because these are at least the Bills' offense is very high powering, and a lot of people probably have a lot of those players playing. Obviously, it would probably hurt Cooper Kupp a little bit. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. It seems like both are trending the wrong direction, which would really suck. But I think you still start your studs like Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs. Everyone else is basically just matchup dependent on what you have on your team there. If you feel more comfortable going a different direction, but at least Diggs and Cooper Kupp, I'd say, are pretty much starts. You might be able to get away with Tyler Higbee, but I don't know if I trust Gabe Davis and McKenzie and Allen and the other side and Jefferson on that side of either side of the offenses. But we'll see. Hopefully they play, but we'll see. All right. Again, there's not much news, thankfully. We don't have to worry about too many injuries this week, which is fantastic news for us. Obviously, we can just talk fantasy now. So we will get right to it. And I don't have my little screen up here, but that's okay. We're going to start with the quarterback sleepers, guys. And John, wait. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. How do you think you guys did last week?
Not good. I know I didn't.
Awful, but I won the AJ Dillon, so I'll take that.
You did beat me on the AJ Dillon. Yes, you did. You absolutely did. I am 0-2 in coaches versus offs. So I did a nice 6-4 for the day. Not too bad. I had Tyler Algier right. Devin Singletary is a bust. Mooney is a sleeper. Gabe Davis is a bust. Brock Wright is a bust. T. Law is a sleeper. Jibs, you missed out on Evan Ingram because I believe he got hurt in that game. He did not play the whole game, so I gave you an out on him. But you went 5-4 this week. You obviously had the AJ Dillon right, a nice sleeper with Joshua Palmer. You had your quarterbacks right, as Jared Goff was a bust and Tyler Heineke was a nice sleeper. John, you did pretty good too. You went 6-4 as well. You had the Jamal Williams sleeper right, the Juju sleeper right, the Michael Pittman bust, the Mike Gesicki bust, the obviously Justin Fields sleeper that worked out very well, and obviously Matthew Stafford as a bust. So we had a pretty good week overall, I'd say. So let's do it again this week, guys. John, you're first up. Give us a quarterback sleeper to start this week.
I forgot that I did Justin Fields last week, so I'm going to say Justin Fields again this week, and I feel guilty about it because it's kind of stupid now. He's been a top 12 play for like 5 weeks in a row, but he gets a struggling Lions defense who averaged 20.9 points per game to the quarterback position, but they're also bottom third in rush defense, and we all know Justin Fields can rush for over 100, so he has a super safe floor. I think, another week where you're going to get 20 plus points, no problem from Justin Fields. So we talked about him, waiver shows weeks back. We talked about him last week. I just want to reiterate now, there's not many. There's a small handful of quarterbacks that I would play over Justin Fields in general. So fire him up week in, week out. I feel guilty that I even have him as a sleeper.
All right, well, give me where does he finish?
He'll finish against this team if he's a top 5 quarterback in my mind. No problem.
He doesn't finish top 5.
If he doesn't finish top 5, you can call me. You can call it a loss if he doesn't finish top 5. It's a loss
pick for you. That's what we're saying. Yep. All right. Perfect. I like it there. Justin Fields obviously been fantastic. Obviously, like John said, quarterback 1 last few weeks here now. Rushing has been crazy. Love that pick. Coach Jibs, what do we got for your quarterback sleeper?
Jimmy G. And the matchup's a little tough, but the Chargers defense has been like playing up to expectations, and I think the 49ers will be able to put up points and sustain drives with the running game, and that allowed Jimmy G to kind of rely on some of his receivers like Ayuk, who's been playing well. Deebo Samuel will be back. You have Kittle, who's been electric. McCaffrey as well. So I'm thinking like he'll average his 2 touchdowns that he's been putting up for 5 straight games or so, and it's like a kind of floor play if you're kind of missed out on Justin Fields per se.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G has been pretty decent. Not great, but he's been pretty decent overall. And this is a matchup where I expect it to be more high scoring for sure. And yeah, he should end up having a pretty well outing. And obviously, with CMC now on the team, it just makes complete sense to have Jimmy G as a nice streamer option this week. So let's see. Over to my sleeper quarterback. I went back with Andy Dalton. He didn't have a great last week, but that's okay. I expect him to start once again this week. And the Steelers, they play this week, have not been great against quarterbacks. They've actually been, pretty bad overall. And over the last 4 weeks, the Steelers have allowed a quarterback to throw over 250 passing yards and also 10 touchdowns in that span. Now, while 2 of those quarterbacks threw 4 touchdowns apiece, the other quarterback still performed very positively. So, I expect this team to not be able to fix their secondary situation with just one trade that they made at the trade deadline and a week of buys. Andy Dalton, I think, should get back on track. This Saints offense should get things going once again. It just was a really bad game overall for them. And I think if you're looking for a streaming quarterback this week, he should do pretty well for you in fantasy. So Andy Dalton's my sleeper quarterback. All right, Coach John, back to you, my friend. Quarterback busts. What do we got as QB bust this week?
So this one is Hurts because he started to, turn around, look okay last week. And everyone wants to believe that he's awesome, but it's Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is just a full-on bench from now on. He's only broken 18 fantasy points twice this season, so really the upside isn't there. He's got no rushing floor, so it's super dangerous. You could easily get a single-digit point game from him. And the defense he's going against this week has only allowed 12.9 fantasy points per game. So I just don't think this is going to be a big Tom Brady game. I mean, I get it if you're stuck with bye weeks or whatever else and you have to play him. I think there's better waiver wire options. We talked about Jimmy G. We talked about Andy Dalton. Go see if someone dropped Russ Wilson over the bye week. Just check that out. I just don't feel comfortable starting Tom Brady in any format, even 2-quarterback league. I just don't see the upside until this offense really figures it out.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle to have Tom Brady as your starting quarterback. I know I benched him for Fields last week, and I'm glad I did because it was obviously a big difference in fantasy points at the end of the day. But this is a game in London. We don't know, not London. It's in Germany. This game's in Germany,
Germany. It's
so we
in
don't know how the
Germany.
NFL players are going to adjust to. I would say almost a 12-hour difference. I don't know exactly what the time zone difference changes, but I'm sure that will somewhat impact it to some extent here overall, especially because I think they're playing in the morning, our end, but they're playing at like 9 p.m. at their time at night. So
It's 5 hours,
is
I
it 5
believe.
p.m.? That's it? Just 5 hours? Really? Wow. All
I think
right.
so.
Maybe it won't be as impactful, maybe, but in general, Brady has been very terrible in fantasy lately. He hasn't performed well enough for you to trust him to be a confident start week in and week out. So I like the pick there, John. Coach Gibbs, what do we got for your QB bust?
And I'm heading with the same quarterback in the Sunday night football game, Justin Herbert, and he has had huge passing volume over the last 3 weeks. So the only problem is he's missing his top two wide receivers, which kind of forced the Chargers to heavily rely on Austin Eckler. You've seen his surge. And Herbert has thrown 3 interceptions in 3 straight games, and he only thrown 3 touchdown passes in 3 straight games. He's averaging 13 fantasy points and 4 points per passing touchdown league. And San Francisco allows the 9th fewest points to quarterback. So I think Justin Herbert could bust out. Like he could throw as many passes as he wants, but he's going to need those touchdowns.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he's definitely hasn't played up to the standard we really thought Justin Herbert was going to come into. Now, granted, he lost his top 2 wide receiver targets. You know, that definitely hurts. But if they're out once again, this is a tough 49ers defense overall. And I don't think it will be a game where Fields might not have the biggest impact downfield. It might be a lot of dink offs to Austin Eckler, which Eckler should have a pretty good game overall. So, you know, Herbert's definitely has some concerns playing him as a confident start. I mean, he's probably a start, but he's not a confident start, which he could end up busting for the day. So I like that, Jibs. My bust at quarterback is Daniel Jones. Now, I don't know if people have forgiven Daniel Jones after that 2 weeks ago game where he pretty much just busted for everyone. You know, he had a bye week. Everyone might have forgot about it. Now he plays the Texans, and on paper, sounds like, oh, it's a great matchup for Daniel Jones and whatnot. But the Texans secondary is dangerous. They have really great DBs playing this year, and they actually allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points per game to quarterbacks and just 7 passing touchdowns on the season, which is crazy because they've been just getting racked on fantasy points. But it's the running back end. This is a game where Saquon Barkley should just dominate overall, and unless Daniel Jones runs a lot, which I don't know if he's going to need to, it might just be a game where he just has another bad outing. So I would probably want to steer away from him because he doesn't have that passing volume anyway. And unless he rushes, it just doesn't really make sense for me. And I expect if he tries to throw the ball, there's potential for turnovers and whatnot with that really good secondary. So for me, Daniel Jones is a sit this week. All right. And let's move on to the tight ends now, guys. Tight end sleeper of the week, John. What do we have?
So we talked about him last on Monday for the waiver show. I'm going to roll right into it. I'm starting Cole Kmet. I'm picking him up off waivers, and I'm comfortable starting him this week. I think he's going against the Lions, who have allowed 15.7 fantasy points per game to the tight end so far this year. So it's a healthy matchup. And we've also seen Justin Fields really ascend into a difference maker, both as a rusher and a passer. Cole Kmet saw 6 targets last week. I feel comfortable that he's going to see 5+ targets going forward. And, this is what you look for. You look for tight ends that can break a big play, score touchdowns, and get points. Cole Kmet proved that the other week with 2 touchdowns and a 20+ point game. So I think Cole Kmet is now back comfortably in the tight end category where you can feel confident starting him over a lot of guys.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that he's coming along finally. It's been forever. I know he was one of my big sleepers this year, and it didn't really pan out for the first month and a half. But lately, he has been very good in fantasy. And the matchup that's positive for them to hopefully get him the ball a little bit more, and especially in the red zone. He's definitely a great sleeper overall. Coach Gibbs, what do we have as your QB sleeper, my friend?
I'm rolling with another waiver wire pick, Greg Dulcich. Titans allow 6 most fantasy points to tight ends. They pretty much average 6 receptions, 68 yards per game to the tight ends. And Dulcich's been on a hot streak in PPR league, scoring double digits in 3 straight games. He's gotten 41 receiving yards first game, then he got 51, 87. He's going up. You want to be on that kind of escalator ride too. So I'm expecting him to be electric and probably get a touchdown this week. So I'm riding with Greg Dulcich.
Where's he finishing overall?
Tight
because he's been such a hot streak.
end.
Where's he finishing?
He's going to finish tight end 5 this week.
Tight end 5. All right, so 2 top 5
Ooh.
players. All right. I like
think
Everybody's
so.
gems.
I'll just do it. I'll do it.
I love the spiciness. Love that. Oh, Rum Boys, Robbie, what's up, brother?
Rumboys.
Thanks for tuning in, my
Robbie.
guy. We gotta get you back on the show soon, my guy. It's been a while. I haven't really let anyone
Robbie,
come on the
man.
show recently, so it is what it is. Over to my next position here, sleeper tight end spot. Noah Fant, guys. It's back in Germany now. Noah Fant has been very inconsistent for fantasy in the first half of the season, but he's been doing a little bit better, especially when it comes to positive matchups overall. And he's had 2 great matchups against the Cardinals, who give up a lot of fantasy points to tight end, but so do the Bucks, who he plays this week. At least 10 fantasy points or more per game. 8th most yards the Bucks have given up. Now, I expect them to kind of focus on stopping the run with Kenneth Walker, who's been fire, and of course the 2 wide receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, actually opening up the field a little bit for Noah Fant in the middle. And I expect Geno Smith to find him early and often. He had 8 catches last week for 90 yards. It was fantastic. So Noah Fant is my tight end sleeper of the week, guys. So let's go over the tight end bust now, guys. Who do you have, John, as your tight end bust?
This one is kind of tricky because he lost some players recently, so you would think that the target volume is going to go up, but this week I'm not trusting it, and that's Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan is playing against a tough Dallas defense. Aaron Rodgers looks inept. He can't even hit short passes that he needs to in the red zone, so I just don't have faith in that offense to figure it out. The defense that they're going against, the Cowboys, they've only been up 9.9 fantasy points per game to the tight end, so super low floor. And they've only given up 1 passing touchdown to tight ends this year. So if you're looking for a streaming option, you're looking for a guy to get you a couple yards and get in the end zone, I just don't think it's Robert Tonyan this week. You're going to probably looking at 3 to 4 points, maybe 1 or 2 receptions. And so to me, it's just I'm okay with Tonyan in certain matchups because you might get the touchdown, but this is not the matchup that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to trust him in a really difficult matchup. The only way, if he sees a high target share, that might be the only way I could trust him. But, I mean, that's also risky because this offense has just not been scoring points. So if he's maybe he gets 9 targets, but he's 5 for 40, it's not really a great game out of him for fantasy. It might be even worse, to be honest. His efficiency has not been there. So, yeah, I like that one there a lot there, John. Now, we do have a question from Connor. Dalton Schultz or Kyle Pitts, full print PPR. Obviously, Kyle Pitts plays tonight against the Panthers, and obviously Dalton Schultz plays against the Packers on Sunday. So which side are you guys leaning here?
Oh, man. I like Kyle Pitts' matchup a little bit better. Carolina's not super scary in the slot against tight ends. Kyle Pitts more like his big plays are the outside, but Kyle Pitts saw 200 air yards last week. They talked about getting him the ball more. Marcus Mariota has that quote out saying, I need to start targeting Kyle Pitts. And so I think there is a world where this turns around. Now, Dalton Schultz is probably safer. I think Dalton Schultz has a much more consistent floor or path to targets. But Kyle Pitts has seen 6+ targets 3 weeks in a row now. So it's not that Pitts is really it's just hasn't clicked. I'm probably still going to roll with Pitts just because I like the side. I'm a sucker for Kyle Pitts. I'll sync with the ship.
I think I'm rolling with Pitts. That matchup against Packers is just brutal. Just brutal.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely makes sense having Kyle Pitts as your quarterback, obviously the favorable matchup, but I'm probably going to stick to Dalton Schultz still just because he is seeing the target share in an offense that has produced. So for me, I'm just going to go with the guy who has been producing over the guy who's been just major up and down. Now, Kyle Pitts could have a major game tonight, but then he could also have like 1 catch for 7 yards on 10 targets. That's just what he's been doing this year. I know Dalton Schultz have been a little bit more consistent, so I probably would lean that in. It's hard to start a Thursday night player because it's always seemed to be a bad luck to start a Thursday night player, unless maybe you're a running back. So I'm going to go Dalton Schultz in this one personally, but Connor, we got 2 Pitts, 1 Schultz. So, all right. Jibs, back to your tight end bust here. Who do you got?
Oh, Zach Ertz, and since Hopkins when Hopkins was suspended, Ertz was averaging 5 or 6, almost 6 receptions receptions per game. In the last 3 weeks since Hopkins been back, it's down to 3.6 receptions per game. Touchdowns has been saving his production in fantasy lately. So I don't think he's going to be able to cash in versus the Rams, who only allowed a tight end to score 2 touchdowns so far this year. And the yardage they give up is pretty much like 37 yards. So he's been on a downward trend if he doesn't cash in. I'm kind of scared about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting play for sure. Because of the matchup and how good the Rams have been against tight ends. But again, it's another situation. I think I'm a little more confident than than Robert Tonyan's situation, but I could see where Ertz could end up having a down week, 4 for 37 kind of week, and that's very possible. So if he doesn't get that touchdown, and he's been weeks where he probably would have been a bust, but he caught a touchdown. So I can see that end up being, fruition this week for fantasy. So, all right. My tight end bust is Gerald Everett this week, guys. Obviously, Jibs already mentioned Justin Herbert. Everett, he's really come back down to earth after a really fast start to the season. Over the last 4 weeks, he's had half the amount of fantasy points than he did the first 4 weeks of the season. And even without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in the lineup last week, Jared Everett really just didn't produce to that much efficiency. And another tough matchup, the 49ers are 5th best against tight ends this season. They've allowed the 3rd fewest yards and only 2 touchdowns in the season. It's kind of hard to trust him right now. I'd rather start some of these young guys like Kate Auden, Cole Kmet, some of the guys who you can probably pick off waivers for the week and put them in their starting lineup. So he's my tight end bust of the week. So, all right. So we are on to RBs now. RB sleepers, guys. What do we have? John.
This is so shitty that I'm even calling this person a sleeper, but I think this is a huge bounce back spot for Jonathan Taylor. I think that, I don't know if we're going to call him a sleeper because he's not, but it's been a rough ride for Jonathan Taylor. He's been injured, lack of production, offensive line problems. What cures a lot of woes is a new head coach that gets the team fired up, which I think Jeff Saturday will certainly do, and the Raiders, who are allowing the 3rd most points to running backs. So to me, this is just a combination. They know what they got in Sam Ehlinger. They're not going to throw the ball over the yard. I think if Jonathan Taylor is healthy, he's going to see 25 plus touches. And against this defense that has allowed 28.8 fantasy points to running backs, he can have himself a good day. So I'm not going to sit here and claim Jonathan Taylor is a sleeper by any stretch of the imagination. He was most people's 101, but he has really fallen out of favor in fantasy circles and fantasy teams. And I think you can confidently start him up as a top 10 play this week.
All right. So since you said he wasn't a sleeper personally, where is he finish?
I'm going to say, I'm going to say conservative and say top 10, but I think he has some serious upside this week.
All right. I'll take it. All right. Coach Jibs, your first RB sleeper. Who we got?
I'm sticking with the script last week. Jamal Williams again. Chicago just allows massive production of running backs, even the inefficient Dolphins running backs last week were able to get touchdowns, right? So, did I get my game wrong? Who'd you guys play? It was maybe 2 weeks ago. When did you play the Lions?
We played them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Wait, you guys had a good game running anyway. But anyway, since week 2, running backs have, in PPR leagues at least, haven't been able to reach 12 fantasy points. So there's multiple opportunity for him to be in the lineup. You just saw him get 24 carries. I'm sure DeAndre Swift will probably eat a little bit into that, but he's still a primary runner in the goal line. And if he gets a touchdown this week, I'm feeling that he probably will. You're gonna kind of bank out. So if he's on your bench as a 3rd running back or flex, I think you could do pretty good. So
okay, I like it. Jamal Williams definitely a good play for this week for sure. My RB sleeper this week is Khalil Herbert. Herbert kind of took the backseat last week in week 9 against the Dolphins, and they were kind of behind in that game, so I didn't really hit to Herbert's skill sets because he's more of a 2-down back kind of than he is a pass catching back. But the Lions give up the 6th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. The Lions, they've been a little bit better defensively, but their offense has been kind of garbage. So I expect this game to be a very close scoring game. I don't expect either team to really get ahead. So it's going to keep the run game in contact. And we've seen prior to week 9 that Herbert was just being more efficient running back compared to Dave Montgomery. And I think if this game is close, he's going to see at least 10 carries. And every week he's seen at least 10 carries. He's been the top 24 running back. So if he can at least get 10 carries, which I think he can this week, I expect another double-digit performance out of Khalil Herbert, and he should be pretty good against this Lions team. So if you're looking for a flex option or a second RB2, I think he could be worth putting in your lineup. So, all right, John, back to your second sleeper quarterback, RB. What do you got?
So my second sleeper RB, I'm going to go with John. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. No, I'm going to go with Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary has seen single digits 3 out of the past 4 games. He only topped 15 points once. But again, I think that they're going to have to rely on this run game with a beat up Josh Allen and kind of whether he plays or not. If it's Case Keenum, I still think they're going to have to rely on this run game. Nyheim Hines didn't get as involved as I expected the first game in. So I think they're comfortable giving Devin Singletary 40 or 50% of this running back work. And that's enough. I know the Vikings are a mediocre, defense against the run. They're 8th right now. So scary, but not terrible. I think this could be a week where Devin Singletary gets some run, gets in the end zone, and is a decent play.
I can't hype up your pick, John, honestly.
That's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Hype him up. I didn't have him at sleeve. He's my backup bust. So
okay.
As long as Jibs doesn't take my bust, or you, we're okay. So I'll let you ride with that pick. I respect it. Coach Chiz, what do you got? Are you mute, my friend?
Damn dog. I'm gonna go over their newly acquired running back Jeff Wilson, and he looked way more efficient than Raheem Mostert, and they were basically split touches evenly, and that was his first game. So in 9 games, the Browns have allowed 9 running backs to score at least 10 half PPR fantasy points. They're tied for 3rd in the NFL with 12 rushing, or I guess 12 total touchdowns allowed to running back. So there's production being allocated there, and I think he would be a nice sleeper as well if you pick him up off the waiver wire.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm mad. There was one league where he was out there, and I'm mad I didn't get him because I think he will see a bulk of that work. I think it's going to be a split committee early on and often now, and I think it will find its way to working in this offense here because because the defenses are so concerned, with the deep ball and with the downfield plays that the run game kind of gets left behind, and I think that will start helping open up holes, and especially with Jeff Wilson's ability to do things in the middle of that field there. He should end up having a pretty good game overall. So I do like that one there, Jibs. Not because I'm just a Dolphins fan. So, all right. My second sleeper is Jerick McKinnon. Over the last 2 weeks now, Jerick McKinnon has led the team in targets with 3 and 3, 6 overall. In that same span, Isaiah Pacheco has 2 and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has 0. Not sure why, but that's what's been going on in Kansas City. The Jags gave up the second most receptions this season with 75. It's about 8 receptions per game to RBs alone. And it's a long shot because we just don't know what this whole backfield is. But if you're looking for a PPR kind of guy this week, it seems like Jerick McKinnon is handling that passing down work, 2-minute drill, there's in situations where they need to throw the ball constantly. So I think Jerick McKinnon this week could do just enough to get those 10 fantasy points per game for you in fantasy. So if you're looking for, maybe a 14 or 16 man league possibility in this situation, a flexible option, he might end up getting you that this week. So for me, Jerick McKinnon is my second RB sleeper. All right, let's get on to the RB bust now, guys. What do you guys are your one RB bust of the day?
My one RB bust of the day, I'm going to double down. I'm giving you 2. I'm giving you both running back on the Commanders. I'm giving you Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. I'm sitting both. They got a terrible matchup against the Eagles. The committee that has become this sort of ambiguous mess of a backfield is as close to 50-50 as you can get. So I don't think you're really going to get super productive out of either one. If anything, the negative game script might help Antonio Gibson because he is the pass catcher and he is catching, 5-6 targets a game. But again, against the Eagles, who have been one of the most stout defenses against the run, I just don't see a world where either one of these backs breaks double-digit points. And again, you're in that 8 6, 7, 8, 9 point category, there's just not worth starting. There's other people, like you said, Khalil Herbert off the waiver wire. There's other guys you can grab that at least give you some upside. I don't think either player has upside this matchup.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, maybe you can give Antonio Gibson an okay play just because his passing work, but that's not guaranteed obviously at all. And then Brian Robinson, I hope he does well eventually, but it just hasn't really been that efficient on the ground. And this is a very tough matchup for both running backs. So it's a good one there, John. I like that one. Coach Jibs, what do you have as your RB bus? God damn.
QB bus? No, running back bus, I'm going to go and challenge Coach John with Devin Singletary. Minnesota Vikings, they're 6 worst matchups of running backs. Since week 5, no running back has gone over 50 yards. Primarily probably due to committees, but still in those instances, no running backs go over 50 yards without Josh Allen in the lineup. I'm just finding it hard to believe in Devin Singletary in this Bills offense minus Stephon Diggs. So I think he'll probably make an impact in his receiving totals and whatnot, but I'm still skeptical of the Cooks nipping at his heels. Maybe they get Hines involved and the matchup stuff. So and he hasn't even reached 10 fantasy points in the last 2 weeks in PPR league. So I'm kind of
got another battle here.
Yeah. I didn't feel comfortable with my Devin Singletary take, but I took it anyway.
I love it. I love it. All right. Yeah.
Like a smash play though.
Yeah.
I see it.
Like I said, I was with you, Jibs, on that one. Honestly, I think Nyheim Hines gets more involved in the passing game, especially if Case Keenum does play. I mean, that might be a Nyheim Hines thing coming into situation now that he's had 2 weeks of practice now. So we'll see. For my RB bus guys, I went with James Conner. And James Conner, where he came back, played 70% of the snaps, had a decent day overall. This is a tough matchup. The Rams allow the 8th fewest fantasy points per game to running backs, just 3 rushing touchdowns over the first 8 games of the season. And the last time they played each other this year, James Conner had 39 yards on the day, and that was really much it. The Cardinals just haven't ran the ball very well with both running backs in the lineup, both Connors and, obviously Ito Benjamin or Darrell Williams. And I just feel like this is a game where they're not expecting to be rarely run heavy, and they're going to have to rely on Kyler Murray to make throws downfield. And it's just hard to trust James Conner because, at any moment he could also get hurt. So for me, in a tough matchup, I'm going to try to avoid James Conner if I can. So he is my RB bust for the week. All right. Wide receivers now, guys. Wide receiver sleepers. John, what do we got?
So my wide receiver sleeper is going to be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has kind of come into his own a little bit. I think the Broncos offense couldn't get any worse. I think coming out of the bye week was a good timing because they started to kind of click a little bit and then they got the bye week. Now they're coming out of the bye week. But what I love most about Jerry Jeudy this week is the Titans defense. Titans defense stinks against deep passes. Pass are 20 plus yards. They allow a 142.6 passer rating. So if you're going to beat the Tennessee Titans, it is over the top and it is deep. And that is exactly what Jerry Jeudy's good for. That's what he's known for. He has seen this sort of route overtaken for Cortland Sutton. Beginning of the year, it was Cortland Sutton was getting everything deep. I think that was just Jeudy getting comfortable and formidable with Russ Wilson. But as of late, it has been the deep ball going to Jerry Jeudy. So I predict Jerry Jeudy is going to have 5, 6, 7 targets, deep targets, 20 plus yards, and you hope one of them turns into a touchdown and he can have a big day.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been playing like the better Broncos wide receiver as of lately, which I don't like because I liked a lot of Cortland Sutton, but you can't deny what he's doing. And this is a very fantastic matchup for him this week. So hopefully the Broncos learn something in their bye week and is on the road to turning it around. So we'll see. Coach Jibs, what do we got for your first wide receiver sleeper?
It's going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones. Miami's defense has been in shambles the last 2 weeks, man. And I know they acquired Bradley Chubb, but he can't cover Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'll tell you that much. But regardless, Miami gets up the nice post points to wide receivers. Donovan Peoples-Jones has at least had 50 receiving yards in 5 straight games. The worrisome part about him is his production and his volume, because he only gets like 6 targets and he's been doing it on 4 receptions per game. So obviously the big play counts. Last time I checked, those corners are sorry out there. So I'm expecting Teddy Bridgewater to kind of lean on Donovan Peoples-Jones, especially since it's a road game and our Amari Cooper sucks. So boom.
I'm so mad because I thought, man, we're gonna go this whole episode without anyone stealing one of my picks. But it doesn't happen. Obviously, I Devin Peoples-Jones. Jeff Barber asked if we're all 49ers fan. We got Eagles, we got Dolphins, and we got Patriots. No 49er fan here, but we have a 49ers fan. He's crazy. Shout out to Tillman.
Friend, yeah.
Yes, a friend. All right, we got Trey here. Good evening, gents. Full point PPR. Jerry Jeudy or Josh Palmer?
Ooh.
I would start Jerry Jeudy. Is Damian Harris droppable? Probably not droppable. But I would start Jeudy. I would start Jeudy in that situation. I regrettably drafted Pitts, but Freiermuth just became available.
I would drop Damian Harris 100% for Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, I would too.
Wow. Okay.
And I also agree with Jeudy.
I would probably take Joshua Palmer personally, but Jerry Jeudy's still a good play this week. So if you're, I'll agree with them on that note. Jerry Jeudy is definitely the option for that. And then I think most of us can agree that dropping Damian Harris for Pat Freiermuth is okay. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, Trey. All right. I believe Jibs, we were on me. Oh, me. You stole my pick. That's right. You stole my pick. All right. My first sleeper wide receiver is Khalif Raymond from the Detroit Lions. With no Josh Reynolds practicing once again today, Raymond's looking like a nice sleeper this week. The Lions need to get back on track in the passing game. They've been kind of mediocre over the last few weeks now. The Bears have been tearing away their defense week in, week out with all these trades. And we saw the Bears just get torched last week against the Dolphins wide receivers. I know different talents, obviously different passing situations, but I like Raymond. He had a bad week last week against the Packers, but prior to that, those prior 2 weeks, he had 75 yards in back-to-back games. I expect things to kind of get going for this passing unit a little bit more, and I think Khalif Raymond is a plug-and-play flex option for you this week, maybe in 12 to 15, 14, 15, 16-man leagues, whatever. Probably better as a wide receiver 3 in fantasy, so Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond is my sleeper tight end this week. So let's see. What did Jeff say here? Jeff said something. I'm a Seahawks fan, so I was hoping there was a 49ers fan, so I can laugh them for taking Lance over Field. Sorry about that, but we'll laugh with you. We'll laugh with you.
Let's go.
That's a great play. I'll laugh with you. Drafted Kenneth Walker, probably the best move you made all day, Jeff, or when you made it. So I like that. All right. We went to me. Back to you, John. What do we got? Second QB, a wide receiver. Goddamn, sleeper this week.
Second wide receiver sleeper. I have 2 written down, and I don't know which one. I'm going to go with Rondale Moore. So Rondale Moore has had 18 targets in the Pens. Great for volume, great for floor. That's what you want to see. He is electric when he has the ball in his hands, so he can break a big play when needed. He has been top 24 play the past 2 weeks, so I think that's just going to continue. The Rams, they're going to slide coverage to DeAndre Hopkins. They're not going to want to get beat by DeAndre, so you'll see a lot of stuff in the middle, for Rondale to sort of eat up, and I think this is going to be a comfortable, 8-9 target game, which is great. So I'm starting Rondale Moore in my flex and hoping for at least one big play, but you might get a couple.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping Rondale Moore kind of turns it back around. I know last week was not the best week, but hopefully you can kind of turn it around this week. Let's see. Jeff said real quick again, Kyle Shanahan is a master at choking at 10-point leads and having QB bums. Oh, Jeff, if I could introduce you to my friend, you guys would be having a great battle right now. Maybe I'll show him this to you. I'll have to screenshot this and send it to him. It'll be funny. Let's see. Kyle said, please help. Full point PPR. Monty, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, and Kareem Hunt. So I guess pick one.
Please help. Full PPR.
Oh, he's got pick 2 wide receivers, Godwin, Boyd, Lockett, pick 1 wide receiver. So I'm assuming that was 2 RBs. I'm going to assume that means 2 RBs, not the 2 wide receivers, and then pick 1 wide receiver, and then pick a tight end and flex. So pick 4 players, 5 players. Start with the RBs. What are the RBs are you starting?
I'm probably starting, and I'm starting Aaron Jones.
Ooh, I'm not starting Aaron Jones.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bad matchup. But I don't really like.
I like Tony Pollard and Dave Montgomery this week. If I'm going to go with 2 RBs. Oh, and he wrote Patterson too.
Oh, I would start Cordero probably.
Cordero, Patterson, and
Patterson Pollard.
Yeah,
What
I
about
would.
Pollard? I'm okay with Tony Pollard and Patterson playing.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm good too.
Wide
Um,
receiver, Godwin, Boyd, or Lockett.
Lockett.
probably.
Boyd's out
Yeah.
this week, so
Yeah, Lockett
so
and
definitely
Godwin.
don't start Boyd. So Godwin or Lockett. So I'm probably gonna go Lockett.
Lockett.
I know, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I would probably lock it too. He's getting the volume. He's had a decent floor. He's never been a kind of a floor guy, but he's had a solid floor lately. And he's
Well, it's gonna be
always
And
known for a big
then
play.
right.
Godwin's
And
gonna be the
then
flex.
Tony or Ingram.
Pick
Tony
one,
or
Tony.
Ingram. Tunyon or Ingram, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ingram.
Ingram.
If Ingram's healthy, Ingram for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess flex,
Flex.
Mont,
Flex.
Aaron Jones, Godwin, Hunt.
I'd probably
Lockett or-
flex Godwin.
I'd probably Mont probably. If I'm taking the flex spot, I'm taking Mont as the flex. I think he'll get enough rushing yards to be good enough.
Yeah, that's true. And the matchup is so good.
No, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Monty.
go. I'm gonna go Godwin. Just gonna go Godwin. I'm gonna stick to talent and Godwin. I'm gonna stick with.
Okay.
All right, so Kyle, since we just talked a whole bunch of mess here, let's break this down real quick for you. You know, Cordell Patterson, Tony Pollard as your RBs. You pick Tyler Lockett as your other wide receiver. You pick Evan Ingram as your tight end, and then I think we've agreed to either do Dave Montgomery or Chris Godwin as the flex.
Yes, that works.
There
And
we
I would,
go.
and I'm with you. I'd probably flex Godwin too.
Yeah. So, yep, that's what we're gonna go with. Perfect. There we go, Kyle. You're welcome. All right, Jim. Give us your wide receiver bust or sleeper.
I believe we're sleeper, and I'm gonna go with George Pickens, and he bottomed out versus the Eagles in Week 8, but I feel comfortable using Pickens in fantasy lineups without Chase Claypool on the roster anymore. And this should concentrate the targets for the Steelers between Johnson, Freiermuth, and Pickens. Before his Week 8 stinker, he was on a 4-game stretch where he was averaging 7 targets, 5 receptions, and 68 yards per game. Touchdowns are obviously the issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, but a PPR format still make a good flex this week.
I like it. Short and sweet there. I love it. So for my other wide receiver sleeper, I'm going Zay Jones because that's my backup plan there. Zay Jones with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, this week the Chiefs have been giving up a lot of fancy points to other opponents' deep offenses, and I think this is a game where the Kansas City Chiefs will likely be ahead, and it's going to be hey, you got to come from behind Trevor Lawrence. And Zay Jones really hasn't had that big game in a while, and I think this could be that week he kind of gets that big boom game that ends up as a wide receiver 2 in fantasy. He's been seeing consistent targets, at least 5 every single week, and I think this is the week where they're going to have to throw the ball even more. I'm going to go with Zay Jones as my wide receiver sleeper 2 here. So, all right, and finally, wide receiver bust, guys. Let's finish this up here. John, what do you got?
My first wide receiver bust is going to be Drake London. Drake London saw 7 targets last week, so people were getting excited that hopefully things were going to start to turn around. He just turned that into 3 receptions. I don't think that, again, on paper, the matchup looks good. You got the Panthers, you got all this stuff that's like you want to try and, believe in the talent of Drake London, but I just don't see it this week happening. I think that there's too low of a floor. The game going to be kind of a slop fest. They're not going to air it out in the rain because they're dealing with the hurricane that just blew through Florida. So I think it's going to be a messy, low scoring, kind of grinded out game. And I don't want pieces in that on a Thursday night. So I'm sitting Drake London if I can.
Yeah, definitely don't want anything to do with either passing attack this week, and especially in this like crazy weather. So I like that one there. I had Drake London for a while as a bust, and it worked out for me. Hopefully, it works out for you, John. Coach Gibbs, your final wide receiver bust.
I should get like 2 points if this is accurate. But I'm gonna go with Mike Evans. Actually, I'm just worried about the Bucs offense in totality. Tom Brady has been having all this passing volume, but he's only been cashing on 1 touchdown per game. He only has 1 game this year when he has multiple touchdown passes. So, and then like for the worst thing about it, like yeah, sure, Tom Brady's reaching 300 passing yards per game, but he's only thrown 3 touchdown passes over the last 4 games, and Seattle gives up the third fewest points to wide receivers. So, if the passing volume falls and it's a gritty game, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Evans gives you like one of those 4 for like 63 or whatever. Kind of empty game, But
All right.
I'll hang my
I
hat on that.
respect it. I respect it. We'll see what happens on there. I mean, it's tough to always judge them.
Don't sit him. Don't sit him.
It's tough to judge these. Yeah, it's tough to judge these guys. So, all right. For my wide receiver bust to end the show, it's Adam Thielen, guys. Adam Thielen, it looks like he moved to the third in target share at this team now at this point with TJ Hawkinson showing up here. It's a tough matchup. The Bills are top 10 in terms of stopping wide receivers this season. They've only allowed one wide receiver to gain 50 yards each single game this season here. Obviously, it's not going to be Adam Thielen. It's going to be Justin Jefferson. So, and they literally only allowed one wide receiver, not multiple wide receivers. They're just one each game. And it's going to be Justin Jefferson, obviously, here. And if TJ Hawkinson continues to see more target shares than Adam Thielen and a game where they might not need to throw the ball as much, it might be a game where Thielen ends up having 5 targets and it's just another bad day for him overall. So I'm looking at other places this week for my wide receiver or flex option, either or this week. So don't start Adam Thielen. All right. And we are all done, guys. We got this episode done pretty quickly, even though it felt like it was still long, but that's okay. We got done before 6 and that's what I needed. So I love it. John, anything you want to mention before we get going?
I have nothing. I have nothing at all.
All right. Coach Jibbs, what do you got?
I have nothing at all. It's a great Thursday night football game.
Sure. Love this episode. Great episode, guys. We got a lot of good content out there. As always, go check out our website at www.thefantasycoaches.com. We got our rankings. We have our playbook up there. The Dynasty coaches are back and running again. We have articles popping out here and there. Check it out. It's a great site. If you guys ever want to reach us for content or questions for fantasy, please hit us up over on Twitter at Coaches Fantasy. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you listen to us here and you like it, subscribe. Hit us up on Facebook, like us on Facebook, whatever you can do to help us out by liking, commenting, rating, whatever. We appreciate it, obviously, of always. So thank you guys all for listening to our Week 10 starts and sits. We'll be back on next Monday to do our waiver wire for Week 11. Enjoy your Week 10. Hopefully you guys win. Until next time, guys, have a good one.